Plateau's Cave. Some of the more philosophically inclined members of the Scrappy Squad may recognize this popular theory, in which society is trapped in a cave, and their only impression of the outside world are shadows impressed upon the cave walls. These shadows are engineered by puppet masters, mere illusions, specters cast from the fingers of fellow men with insidious intentions, or something like that. I honestly didn't pay much attention in school. But what I do pay attention to are the questions facing us today, such as, what if the shadows weren't eerie facades, but rather sentient manifestations haunting caves? What if there were no puppet masters, only specters spooking us? What if we aren't alone in this cave we call reality, but in fact share this cave with a minor? And most importantly of all, how can someone be both a minor and 49 years old? We will attempt to answer all of this and so much more on this episode of the Scooby Doo Files. Have you ever considered putting on a fake beard and a cowboy hat, walking on stilts inside of a mine in order to scare people? If so, put your hands up. If your name is Hank Smithy, your hands had better be up, because the records show you were, and likely still are, the minor 49er. And if your name is Red Herring and your hands aren't up, well, no need, because we're already on to you. What would drive a man to do such a thing? To lurk in subterranean areas, dressed up like a relic of the past? Well, let's just say, his plan was gold. You see, Hank was after the one thing we're all after: gold. More specifically, the last scraps of gold in Gold City from 1849. Hank wasn't just your average criminal after solid gold. No, he was far more cunning than that. He also had his sights set on the liquid gold, oil, flowing underneath the Gold City Ranch. All he had to do was scare off the members and guests of Gold City Ranch by dressing up like this and making noises like,
all right, you folks go on if you must. I reckon we're in for a job or two after all. Just make for town. They've got everything you need to keep yourself rested, fed, and entertained. In fact, you'll find more gold in there than we're likely to find in this here river.
And he would have gotten away with it too, if it wasn't for his own lack of foresight, failing to anticipate the arrival of some meddling kids and their crime-solving detective doggy, Scooby Doo. So tell me about what happened that night. So my friends and I were going to the cave for a party, and we saw this weird dude in there. What did this weird dude look like? He had this droopy hat and a big gray beard and a mustache. He was hunched over. How did you feel in that moment, seeing the minor 49er in the flesh? I don't know, man. Well, were you scared? Not really. It was more like, what are you doing here? Is this guy looking for gold and oil or something? That's a great question. On a dark and stormy night, Shaggy Rogers misread a map by holding it upside down, placing him and the rest of Mystery Incorporated down the wrong road, a road leading straight towards Gold City. Fortunately, they spotted a welcoming sight, a sign for the Gold City Guest Ranch. They were greeted enthusiastically by Big Ben, who mentioned they were his only guests. He asked his assistant, Hank, to show the gang to their respective rooms. The gang is so impressed by how welcoming their rooms are, wondering how such a fancy establishment could be so vacant. Upon hearing this, Hank couldn't help himself but to bring up the legend of the minor 49er and the ghastly moans, which could still be heard at night. This inspired the gang to investigate, driving around the ghost town to see what they can find. Entering an old-timey Western saloon, Shaggy and Scooby order drinks. For all of his faults, Hank was kind enough to serve them drinks. However, his saloon tending skills could benefit from improvement in the drink mixing department, as the cups were full of cobwebs. Suddenly, as if on cue, a piano begins playing itself, frightening the two detectives. Velma was not so quick to escape, noticing that the piano was automatic, and that not something, but someone triggered it to begin playing. However, when asked by their fearless leader Freddy if they found any clues, Velma said, "Not a one." Why would she say this? Was she covering for the minor 49er? And if so, what was her motivation? Did she just forget? Or was Velma a compulsive liar who simply couldn't help herself? Scrappy Squad, submit your theories in the comments section. Their investigation led to another creaky, creepy place, an abandoned hotel. Standing next to a window, Shaggy was grabbed by the minor 49er. Although he tried running, the minor was too strong. Thankfully, the strong grip wound up belonging not to any man, living or undead, but rather a spooky tree. Shaggy swears he knew this the whole time. After searching the hotel, the gang decides to investigate the abandoned mine. But on their way out, while checking himself out in the mirror, Scooby catches sight of the minor 49er. Fleeing, he accidentally drags an offensive statue depicting a Native American, which, when toppled over, was revealed to be hollowed out, containing a recent map of Gold City. Directions were scrawled in the top right corner of the map. Left, 10. Right, 7. Left, 4. And right, 23. Seemingly nonsensical, Velma realizes that these were not in fact directions, but rather the combination to a safe. Although, when opening the safe, they found no treasure, but rather a secret elevator leading them deeper into this mystery. Although Detective Scooby was reported to have been too chicken to enter the safe, his partners in crime solving managed to convince him with the promise of a Scooby snack. It turns out that not even the greatest detectives are above a little bribery now and again. The elevator dropped to a violent crash, but fortunately, none inside were harmed. In fact, they were in awe of where they landed, an old coal mine. But they weren't alone down there. Always on top of his game, Freddy suggested that they might find the miner in the mine. Shaggy discovered a box of dynamite. He immediately lit 3 up, mistaking them for candles. Unable to blow them out, he tossed them safely away. Venturing deeper into the mines, they discover a path well lit by lanterns overhead. This was the first time Mr. Yank heard for themselves the coal miners' moan. Fun fact, after Ben Smithy was apprehended and sentenced, he began receiving fan mail. A group of women became enamored with him after reading his story in the news. They would send him Valentine's cards stating things such as, "Be mine," or "Stay golden, 49er." When asked what the attraction was, one fan cited this moan as being romantic, like a man out of time, crooning the blues. Freddy suggested splitting up. He would take one path with the ladies, and Shaggy could go somewhere else with the dog. To make matters worse, Scooby played a harsh prank on his pal by making his shadow look like a ghoul. It just goes to show, you can't trust anyone. Can you, Becky? The two found themselves in a corridor full of doors. Opening one, Scooby found the minor 49er waiting to lurch out at them. However, when Shaggy took a look behind that very same door, it was empty. Opening it once more, with Shaggy's back turned, Scooby once again found the minor 49er. Shaggy proposed a theory. He would look in that door, and Scooby would look in another. Upon opening the other door, Scooby once again found the minor 49er waiting. Meanwhile, the others were searching a storage room when the floor gave out under Freddy. To make matters worse, a sack of flour landed on his head, covering him in white and effectively turning him into a ghost. This is exactly what Scooby and Shaggy were hoping not to see when opening yet another door, but it is what they saw. They hop into a minecart and begin rolling downhill, only for the minor 49er to pop out of the cart tailing behind them. Scooby disconnected the carts, allowing for them to get a head start. This began a prolonged course of events in which, alternating different tracks, Scooby and Shaggy wound up behind the minor 49er, chasing him. Somehow in this excitement, Scooby wound up in a cart with the minor 49er. When asked about this event, Scooby replied, "Roll." Sometimes adrenaline can blur one's memory, especially in minecart-related chases. Scooby and Shaggy crash into barrels, riding them downhill and back towards the gang, while trying to fish Daphne out of a mine shaft, which she apparently fell down into. Scooby accidentally lifts up the minor 49er, which to him must have felt like successfully grabbing the wrong prize out of a claw machine. But worse. Just like a claw out of a claw machine, Scooby dropped the minor back into the shaft. Hearing another of the miner's silky smooth moans, Velma discovers another clue. A wire leading to a speaker inside of the mine. This led way to other clues, such as a tape recorder and samples of crude oil. Freddy used the miner's microphone against him, asking Shaggy to impersonate a train fast approaching, while Scooby rounded the corner with a light. This caused the minor 49er to flee right into a tool shed, which Freddy slams shut and locks. However, due to the velocity he had accumulated, Scooby crashed right into the tool shed, splitting it open. Entering the tool shed, Mystery Inc. found the miner hanging above a treacherous fall out the other end. He wasn't the only one hanging on for dear life, however, as Scooby had his paws gripped around the minor 49er's ankles. As the miner's boots slid off, causing Scooby to have a safe but sore fall, they revealed stilts he had been walking on. Freddy knew this could only be one person: Hank. Why Hank is the only person Freddy thought might have been wearing stilts, we at Scrappy Squad do not know. When asked about this, Freddy called it detective's intuition. And so ended Hank's reign of terror of Gold City. Just as every spooky night gives way to morning, each crime can only end in justice. Thank you for watching Scrappy Squad. Please like, subscribe, and comment your favorite stilt performer.